Joining us now, Barbara McQuaid, former federal prosecutor and a professor of law at the University of Michigan. She's also an NBC News and MSNBC legal contributor. David K. Johnston is with us, Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist who founded DCReport.org. He's the author of the new book, It's Even Worse Than You Think, What the Trump Administration is Doing to America. And Michael Isikoff, chief investigative correspondent for Yahoo News and co-author of the new book, Russian Roulette, the inside story of Putin's war on America and the election of Donald Trump. And Michael, I'd like you to respond to what you just heard from the latest member, the newest member of the Trump legal team, that all of this is a violation of the president's civil rights.
Seems totally in sync with the president's tweets, doesn't it?
Yes.
Not a surprise that he would reach out to Joe DiGenova. Look, the way I interpret this, everybody's looked at this as, is he going to fire Mueller? And you hear contradictory things. John Dowd says yes, then Ty Cobb comes up with no, we tend to fully cooperate. You could take all of this, the president's tweets, the hiring of DiGenova, and reach the conclusion that the real strategy here is to put down these conditions for the interview. Say, we, the lawyers, will write the answers. Mueller's not going to accept that. I mean, he's a prosecutor. He's not going to accept what the defense lawyers write out. So he will push. At that point, Trump says, no, my lawyers have told you what they're going to say. Take it or leave it. What's Mueller's option? Subpoena. What's Trump's option? He could cave, or he more likely will say, no, I'm not going to accede to this subpoena. We'll take it to court. Drag this out to court. He doesn't have to fire Mueller. But what he is doing is laying the groundwork to delegitimize Mueller and resist a Mueller subpoena. And that puts this into the realm of the courts to slug it out. Does, Mueller have the adequate criminal predicate to prevail? Ultimately, this goes to the Supreme Court, where Trump probably figures he's got the upper hand. So he doesn't have to fire Mueller to adopt a strategy that basically says, forget it, Mueller, I'm not cooperating. Let it, let's let this play out. Drags it out for quite some time.
Barbara, on the delay Mueller instead of fire Mueller strategy that Michael just laid out, which sounds very convincing, how long would the delay Mueller strategy work?
Yeah, it's a very interesting theory and may very well explain what's going on. I don't think it would work for a long period of time. Ordinarily, when a case works its way all the way up to the Supreme Court, it can take a year or more to work through that process. But in a case like this, the Supreme Court does have the ability to go on a very expedited docket when it is in the public interest to do so. We've seen that with respect to the travel ban. We saw that in the U.S. v. Nixon case. And so I think they could get the case together within a matter of weeks or months and not years. So I think he could delay it for some period of time, but I don't think it could be a lengthy delay.
David, the New York Times wrote a story about 8 days ago indicating that that Donald Trump was considering hiring more lawyers. He then tweeted furiously saying the failing New York Times purposely wrote a false story, stating, I'm unhappy with my legal team on the Russia case, and I'm going to add another lawyer to help out. Wrong. I am very happy with my lawyers, John Dowd, Ty Cobb, Jay Sekulow. They are doing a great job. And, of course, that tweet turns out to be a complete lie. What do you make of the latest addition to the Trump legal team?
Well, this is almost like a schoolyard game of, do the opposite. So when Donald denies something or insists it's not true, you're going to see the opposite. Michael Isikoff's theory is very intriguing. Let me offer another one from having reviewed some of the documents today. It's also possible that one of the strategies they're thinking about is to let Mueller continue his work, provide him with as minimal information as they can possibly get away with. But Mueller's job is to file a report. If they get rid of Rob Rosenstein and put in someone who is friendly to Trump, that report could just be buried and we will never see it. They might even physically destroy the report. Thank you. We've received the report. We've read it. And then they put it in a shredder.
Michael, the idea that firing McCabe was a kind of let's test the waters, let's see how firing feels publicly. The difference is that there's an Inspector General's report that we have not yet seen, that we are all waiting to see. I'm reserving judgment on what this is about until I see as we should. But it seems like you're going to have trouble trying to reproduce that kind of element in other firings, an actual Inspector General's recommendation.
Right. And I'm not sure the Inspector General necessarily recommended the firing. The Inspector General made his findings, Michael Horowitz.
The Attorney General seems to have said that he recommended it.
Well, certainly the FBI Office of Professional Responsibility recommended firing based on the conclusions. But look, the problem is that Trump tainted the whole process by then attacking McCabe and making it seem like this was the outcome he wanted, so that even if the people in the Justice Department thought they were doing the right thing, they basically got sabotaged by the boss who made it look political. So in some respects, Trump shot himself in the foot here because he undermined what could have been an advantage for him to have McCabe fired by career professionals in the Justice Department, although it was obviously Sessions who made the final decision. But then if you go back to what I think the larger strategy here, which is to delegitimize everything to do with the Mueller investigation, it wasn't such a bad move, because to the extent that you can raise questions about McCabe, and McCabe is a potential witness on any obstruction charge, he's accomplished his goal. So I think this all fits back with the theory I was saying before, which is delegitimize everything to do with Mueller and then resist. You don't have to fire him, just resist.
Barbara McQuaid, when will we see the Inspector General's report?
I think I've read that it may be coming out within a couple of weeks, but I think that's one of the points that's really extraordinary here. Ordinarily, you get the report and then you make the decision, and the public decision about the firing. And so I agree with Michael and David that the firing does appear to be spiteful and vindictive in an effort to discredit Andrew McCabe, a potential witness in the obstruction of justice case. To fire him, 26 hours before his 50th birthday so that he cannot collect his pension, strikes me as very extraordinary. But I think we're expecting within about 2 weeks that it'll come out. It's not ready yet, and so the decision should have waited until the report is ready.
David, you've been studying Trump longer than the rest of us for decades now. There's a tweet this morning where he says, "A total witch hunt with massive conflicts of interests, exclamation point." And that's it. That's the whole tweet. It's just this burst. If you're judging, well, let me ask you, do you think that it actually does work to judge Trump's moods on Twitter, actually use Twitter to judge how he's feeling?
Yeah, to some degree, absolutely. And in this particular tweet this morning, Donald keeps wanting to call this a witch hunt because, as Michael said, he wants to delegitimize the process here. We have someone who his whole life has thumbed his nose at the law, broken all sorts of different laws, and paid almost no price for it throughout his life. And look where it's gotten him. So we shouldn't expect that he will change his behavior in any way, because this has always worked for him. If there's clarity, muddy the waters. That's a fundamental Donald principle. If someone is investigating you, turn around and attack them, something Roy Cohn taught him to do. And we're going to see this ramped up now. But look at the success he's had. All of the key people in the FBI investigation, Comey and his top team, have been vanquished at this point in terms of their ability to carry out the functions they had at the FBI. Now, they may come back to haunt him as witnesses later, but he's vanquished them for the moment.
David K. Johnston, Barbara McQuaid, Michael Isikoff, thank you all for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.